can, we will be ready to start with our first game of the night. So, for those of you who don't know it yet, this is the TLC sponsored by Russ Brain, who will be the one that allowed us to create all of this. Also, big thanks to Tupacalypse and Stratos for providing me with all the required tools that I need to cast. So, we will be casting first round of 32, and we will be starting with dsaqwe as our purple Protoss at the bottom right location, and his opponent is going to be sas.non as the blue Terran at the bottom left location. Now, I will be casting this solo, so if you pardon sometimes myself giving me a small break from time to time just to make sure that I can keep on casting. So we will be checking first our map. This is going to be on Moonglyph 2.1, 3-player map, 3 spawns, 2 of them taken obviously. Natural is relatively straightforward, has a small gap. If we can look here, this is the dsaqwe's base. So far nothing really important is being going on, so we can definitely have a look at it. We can check here. Natural has one relatively big choke and a small one. So maybe some vultures can get through? For the Protoss is not probably that good, unless it's something like a bulldog attack. But we will see if those small entrances do come into play. So, we do see pylon first. Okay, and a gateway. So no crazy things, no fast expansions. And it seems like none is starting with the depot. So that would tell us probably not a fast attack by any player. Now, considering the positions, is there anything important in TVP in this map? Well, we could say that one of the things that's kind of important is that actually a Terran push is relatively well defended until you get to those ramps. That means that once you actually just leave your natural as a Terran, there's already 2 ramps that can be used to jump around and kind of try to catch the army of God. But after that, it's relatively wide open. As you can see, it's a pretty wide open area, so it definitely allows for a lot of flanking. Definitely None will have to take a look at that and probably factor that into his game style. Now, we just see dsaqwe and Non scouting roughly at the same time. The core is coming up. So, no Zealot first. Okay, so dsaqwe's decided that he doesn't want to start with the Zealot first. Considering that this is a relatively normal ramp, that's kind of a hit or miss. A Zealot can definitely do something, but there's no guaranteed damage anyway, so probably that's why dsaqwe just decides to go this way. Other things to kind of at least take into consideration is that SCV. The SCV will see the second pylon. Now, the SCV, especially the scouting, is for 3 purposes. First, obviously, to see the build order. Second, you actually get to see 2 pylons in the base of the Protoss, so you know that there's probably not any hidden tech out of here, which is a big tell, since as long as the SCV is whoa, Manor Depot. That's actually really hard to get right, and it's going to be really problematic because the life of the depot actually can be built for quite a while until the SCV has to run from it, and this depot can be cancelled, so very little will be lost. Hi Cubs, good to have you with us. So the SCV will probably die. No. Okay, no, it doesn't die because this depot is actually much more important right now for to be killed for dsaqwe. And at the same time, the probe is warded away. We see a 1 factory built so far. No more Marines. We've got only 3 Marines. This is no, okay. So I was wondering if None was actually supply blocked, but he's not supply blocked. He's not building any more Marines. So interestingly enough, it seems like it's going to be a very defensive style of fast expansion. Usually you get the expansion, then the tank, okay. But if you don't get more Marines, the command center gets a little bit sooner, but it might be a little bit like you will be able to defend your natural, but you can't push out and try to pressure the Protoss with a small FT push, which is basically like 5, maybe 6 Marines. That depends, of course, on how you want to play it yourself. Then a tank and the vultures with mines. With less Marines, that means that the Dragoons will have a lot easier to maintain this this kind of a small contain. Yes, the SCV seems like it did die, although where's the kill? Well, I don't know. Okay, we do have the robotics facility, and range seems that just kind of finished right now. So it's a robotics build, and then a fast expansion. That's a pretty interesting kind of standard style, but it's one that I think has fallen a little bit out of fashion because you don't actually need the robotics facility if you can be really effective at stopping the push. Oh, okay, thanks. That probe killed it, okay. And we do see that the turret is coming up extremely fast from Non, so Non is a little bit paranoid about a possible DT attack. Usually the location of the turret kind of tells you what the turret is worried about. This is usually DT. Closer to your command center is usually a Reaver. As you can see, also another one at the natural right away, so dsaqwe is not going to try to contest this because obviously there's actually okay, there's not only just enough units, but dsaqwe did stop his own unit production, and it's very interesting and very important as a Protoss. If you are seeing that a turn is taking his expansion in this way, you don't want to actually attack with 2 Dragoons and then pull back, because that is going to tell Non how many Dragoons you have, and it kind of gives away a little bit on what you're actually expecting to do yourself, which is more economy or tech. Now, it seems like the SCV is going to go around, which... Okay, so we do see these small gaps being used for something. If this SCV does go to scout, it might actually barely reach the vision of the Nexus, which would be pretty good. And we do have a 3 Gateway Dragoon opening. The thing really is that this SCV would really love to know if there's a 3rd coming up, or if there's more Gateways coming up. As long as these Dragoons stay here, that SCV will probably not be able to do so. Okay, we do see an Observer already coming up and sees the SCV, which should be actually... should move these Dragoons to try to deny the scouting even of the Nexus. Now, you usually know about it by now, but the reason why you want to deny this is because if you do, the Terran might be a little bit paranoid and think that this is a 1-base all-in, which is very rarely used by pros, but it does happen from time to time, and it actually can do very well. Oh my god, armor for Marines? Oh my god, this is going to be one of those builds. Oh my god, look at how many turrets there are here. That actually can tell a lot to dsaqwe. If dsaqwe keeps his observer flying around and finds out that every single area is covered in turrets, he will know that a lot of money went into those turrets. And just by knowing that, and he might actually even try to get through the end and see the command. Well, actually, okay, the Academy is not going to give away that this is a kind of a bio push, but if he does manage to see the eBay getting anything, he should. So this is going to be a pretty nasty attack by Non. The way that you normally deal with this is by either Reaver or Storm. That's the best way. But there is actually a possibility to deal with this effectively with Dragoons, but only if you have Speed Zealots, because you do need some kind of meat shield so that the tanks shoot something that is close to the Marines. That being said, it's going to be an extremely difficult push to defend. But the most important part is how soon is all the tech is going to be finished, because I assume that Non timed this so that he will attack when range for the Marines is finished. I would assume that's his that's going to be his moment. We will see if exactly that's the way that he wants to play it, but we do see already 6 gateways coming from the dsaqwe. So even though the dsaqwe doesn't really know what's going on, by scouting so many turrets, I think he might be suspecting something strange. Okay, so first medics, very smart to get the energy first for the medics. You don't want to be making first the Marines, because the medics will then come up with a lot less energy. But if you start massing now the Marines, then the medics will actually gain a lot more energy, so it's pretty important. Now, do we see what kind of tech do we see? Speedlots is being researched, and it seems like Arbiters is going to be the choice. Unfortunately, that's the wrong choice. You really would like to have Storm in this, but obviously Storm is not something that you would commonly do in a PvT. There are many reasons for it, but one of the main reasons is because it's extremely gas inefficient. It takes a lot of your gas, and you have to actually land very good storms. If you like lose one High Templar or something like that, suddenly it all goes to hell. Okay, we have even Firebats being added. Now Firebats, there's a reason for that. They have more HP. They also have more armor, if I remember correctly. Yes, they actually do get an inherent armor. And since Dragoons only do half damage, so that's 10. That's 8 damage on a Firebat. Okay, let's see. It doesn't kill the observers, so now kind of the cat is out of the bag, and definitely dsaqwe knows what's going up. This army isn't really that big yet, but remember, the bio builds extremely fast, so as long as Non can keep producing depots and keep his macro up, that is actually going to be quite powerful. Okay, the dsaqwe so far is microing this correctly, which is stay away from the tanks and kill anything that you can individually. But he has to get something else. He cannot continue this way. He's not getting Storm. Is he getting DTs? Okay, he's getting DTs, but unfortunately scans are done, so one DT is not going to cut it. You're going to need to have DTs coming from time to time and always keep the damage up. However, the dsaqwe so far is not doing the worst situation. This is also working really well because of how small the map is. As you can see, it took really little time to get to the natural of the Protoss, and with speed being finished and no more fire bats, there is actually a possibility to break this. It's not going to be easy, I'm not gonna lie. It's going to be quite hard, but if you keep kind of killing from time to time some units, and at the same time you can manage to get your army big enough to kind of surround the tanks with the zealots, and at the same time try to hit a little bit with the dragoons, run away when you lose the zealots, it might work. It's, as I said, still difficult. Still difficult. Now we do see that Non is starting to move kind of slowly. It seems like he's a little bit worried about the possibility that he gets kind of surprised, so he's going to go from through this small choke. I think this is a dangerous idea because a lot of your army is going to be stuck down here. Oh my god, this is not going to work at all. Look at this. So the zealots get close and personal to the tanks. All the tanks are going to fall, and with the DTs doing some damage, that's actually quite more than enough. Look at this. The entire army, poof, and it's gone. Completely out. No, no. A very nice idea, very nice strategy, but unfortunately a little bit, the poorly executed part, I think, is that Non waited a little bit too long to push out. He did have some scans, so he probably could have managed 1 or 2 DTs, but as soon as he allowed the dsaqwe to get the position and also tried to go through the small ramp, just got caught in the middle. Now, this will not kill, I think, Non. And the reason I don't think it will kill him is because these bio units are still quite effective, and with a good position, although this is actually not a good one because it's very close to the ramp, but with a decent position, this game will go on. The problem is, right now with so many barracks, there is almost no way to... is Storm being researched? No, just Arbiters. Okay. I mean, I kind of get this, but it would be good to start getting Storm anyway, because Non is kind of stuck. He really can't do anything else. He can't start making factories right now. If he starts making factories right now, by the time that the factories are finished, the dsaqwe is going to have half of the map. So you do need to keep with this. There's a way actually that you can do this, and I think Non probably doesn't really realize it yet, and that is starting to build bunkers. If you are in this position and you're trying to push this way, and you realize that, okay, my first attack got kind of killed, it's going to be difficult, you can start making bunkers closer to this ramp, and then you have a much better position. Now, this army from the dsaqwe, though, doesn't look too powerful right now. There's nothing more than just a few dragoons. This is still tricky. Now, obviously, the Arbiter is going to give a lot of possibilities, and scans are going to stop being used at some point. But yeah, a lot of army actually went down for the dsaqwe, so this is still quite scary. Even though the first push was actually completely obliterated. Okay, so you don't want to lose the Arbiter, that's for sure. Oh, and a good scan. Okay. Where's the army? The army of the dsaqwe is actually quite small. I mean, these bio units are small. They take a very little in supply. So even though none is actually like what you would normally consider normal, that's about 10 to 20 to 30 supply down. These bio units are so efficient, especially with 1-1 upgrades, guys. This is good. The style is smart by Non. Definitely a smart style. So the dsaqwe definitely in some trouble. Now, 150 energy is done, and it seems like the dsaqwe is going to go for a recall. I don't like this at all. There's no point to go into a recall against a very mobile army. The main reason why you do a recall against a turn push is because it's so difficult to get back with mech, but with bio, that's not a good idea. I don't like it at all. And look at how difficult it is going to be to kill these marines and these firebats with just 0 upgrades against 1-1 marines. Okay, there's the recall, and it's just a few dragoons. Look, see this army? This army can actually deal with this. If sieged correctly, yeah, a good siege. At the same time, pushing the natural, so there's a siege in natural. Okay, but a DT is actually killing the army, so the DT might actually... No, it gets scanned. Okay, and at the same time, this army from the dsaqwe doesn't seem to be able to do anything, so... Oh my god, the dsaqwe. He's held so well the initial attack. and it seems like that's going to be a problem for him. Now, these units are still being kind of annoying, but you see, these Marines aren't dying. And yeah, with this Nexus falling, there's still another Nexus here, so there's actually still a possibility that dsaqwe could survive this and try to keep on, but even if that's the case, he still has to worry about this army and then another big army that is still amassing in the main of the Terran, which will eventually attack him as well, so... Oh my god, I don't think this is gonna work at all. Okay, some stasis. That's gonna slow this down, but not gonna kill it. And no micro, so... Yeah, these units are actually losing a lot. Whoa, these Dragoons are still kind of alive, which is kind of a surprise, but... Okay, there they go down. Okay, another DT should be attacking. It's not attacking. Well, it has +1, which is actually really important at this point. Usually you don't care that much about upgrades as a Protoss against a Terran, but in this situation where you want DTs to kill your opponent's units with one hit, that's actually big. Now, Non still is on 2 bases, and at the same time, the dsaqwe is on 2 bases, but this is a fresh base. So, if they keep trading blows like this, eventually the dsaqwe should have a small advantage, but considering how efficient Bio is, it's going to be really difficult for the dsaqwe to come back with this. Now, he's still making DTs, he's still making Arbiters. Again, I would probably prefer to get Storm, personally. One good Storm, even if you just, like, don't land 2 or 3 of them, one good Storm would actually be more than enough. This Arbiter, you definitely don't want to lose it. Definitely you want to get a good stasis on the Bio, so... Yeah, okay, so the dsaqwe is pulling back. And DT seems to be going around. I assume this is for scouting other bases. We'll see though. I mean, there's a turret here, so I wouldn't assume that he is going to try to go through there. Unfortunately, now this army plus this army, I think it's not going to be possible to be stopped. Yeah. Okay, so this doesn't really look good for dsaqwe. I mean, this is going to be a decent, okayish trade for both players, but unfortunately there's more where that came from, and the Arbiter just used the spell, so... Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think Storm was the... kind of... It's kind of the first thing that you think about when you're facing this kind of Bio build. And in a way, I would assume that the dsaqwe was kind of going for Arbiters, and he figured that he could just win with Arbiters, but... Non is good enough not to make the silly mistakes to just run his army into, I don't know, cloaked units and lose all of it. And even then, I mean, 1-1 Bio is always going to be quite powerful. Oh, a DT is actually killing the tank from the back, and there's a huge stasis. This is so funny, like, the most inefficient trades possible for this for the dsaqwe, and he's still somehow managing to survive this. It's kind of funny. Unfortunately, Funny is not going to win the game, I think. I mean, every time that I think that the dsaqwe should be just flat out dead, he sort of manages to keep surviving, but I just think his time is running out. Every time that he loses like 2 or 3 Dragoons and just costs 1 or 2 Marines, then... Oh my god. Yeah, well, the dsaqwe... I mean, it was definitely Mantos, but unfortunately none was having none of it. Yeah, a bad joke, I know, but a natural one. Okay, so I would assume this is going to be it. I'm not really sure. The game might actually keep going because it's been going for a while like this. But I would assume that once you put a turret down here and you can actually separate these 2 areas. I actually don't like that None is trying to push right down to this base. There's some cannons, so you could lose some more units, and that allows actually the dsaqwe to come down and now get an actually effective trade. So this is definitely not the best idea of what None wants to do. Again, these chokes are making a number on him because he's trying to get through them, and at every time the dsaqwe is kind of jumping on that. Now this is a that's a lot of medics. It's not gonna help too much though. Oh, okay. So we see, yeah, those cannons should actually kill this Bio. And again, with this Bio dying, you actually look at this. This army is actually quite small right now, and this army by the dsaqwe can actually deal with this. So every time the dsaqwe is pushing out, I'm thinking, why not just put some stuff here, separate this small ramp, and then go with a small army of tanks that will basically kill this. So again, I'm quite surprised that the dsaqwe was holding this, but I mean, there's nothing that the dsaqwe can actually do to get back into the game, because his upgrades aren't going to get much better, and at the same time, he's not getting any tech that it will actually wipe out this army. So eventually, also note, guys, that the action is always happening on the dsaqwe side of the map, which means the dsaqwe is the one getting pressured. Okay, these cannons plus the DT, yeah, it's gonna ward this away, definitely. Oh, and this, yeah, okay. So the DT actually gets another tank, and this tank is actually quite low. And yeah, okay, these are probes. For a second there I thought that was an army. Snipe on the tank, maybe? Yes, definitely snipe on the tank would have been a smarter move. Oh, and there goes the dsaqwe. Sorry, none. Okay, now it's looking like it probably will be it. I think now it's going to be too much for the dsaqwe, even though he's been holding on really nicely. And some more units coming up, but the medics are actually going to block most of these zealots. And even and a vessel. Ooh. So the DTs are no longer going to be effective. Ah. Okay. Pretty good game though. Pretty good game. I'm quite surprised that the dsaqwe managed to survive this long. He's even taking another next to the natural. Really trying to get back into this. I mean, look at this. None is actually basically mined out. So if by some miracle, I don't know, let's say the dsaqwe manages to stasis some units in here, and then thanks to that he actually gets his base up. No, still, I mean, you do need storm. You do need storm for this. Storm, or as we say, as somebody mentioned in the chat, reavers. Reavers are kind of the other way to deal with this. I would say that reavers are a bit more difficult to use. Oh, and an EMP lands perfectly with actually missing the medic but hitting the arbiter. So. And yeah, the army consists on like 1 DT, some dragoon, 3 dragoons, 1 arbiter, without energy. Ooh, okay, still really good. And unfortunately for us, guys, yeah. Oh, I mean the dsaqwe. I kind of understand the dsaqwe. I mean, it was an all-in that lasted for, holy hell, 22 minutes. Oh my god, 22 minutes. This has been going on for 22 minutes. So yeah, it's really amazing that actually he managed to stop this for so long. Well, the dsaqwe, I wouldn't say it's a weird all-in. I think there have been some players from Korea who have used this. Haya, Leda, I believe these guys used it quite a lot, and it's been quite successful for a lot of them, especially players who usually have a lot of trouble with beating, let's say, Koreans like Bisu or Stork or other really high-profile protoss. They would like to kind of do these kind of things. So, well, okay. So let's get the next game for us, guys. It's not gonna take that long.